What is up, everybody? This is RybackStun. We have returned to Marvel Heroes. We are on the test center. I debated making this video simply because of some of the goings-on that have been happening on the forums with Jean Grey and how a lot of people have been taking issues with her review. And I didn't want to catch a lot of flack on that in my video, but I figured since it's purely informational and the only opinion that's based upon it is how I feel about the character at the end, I feel like that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So, Jean Grey, if you haven't seen the forums, has gotten a pretty big QoL change and is actually going to get another one here on the next patch or so. Right now we're on TC testing out the new changes to her character. But she's got some interesting stuff that has been changed. She still has her 3 trees, but you'll notice she actually has a lot less powers than she normally had before. They changed up some of her powers, put things together, created new powers, did a lot of different things, but supposedly it's supposed to be a much better build for her character, both from last patch and then this coming up patch that will have the new Jean Grey changes on her. So Jean Grey's hero synergy is exactly the same. At level 25 you get 3% mental, at level 50 you get 3% energy. Oops. I realize I have synergies on and I shouldn't be able to test these powers properly. All my gear's off, so that's good. Awesome. So we do have the 3 trees: Telekinesis, Telepathy, and Phoenix. Our first tree, Telepathy, has 6 powers in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So we've got Kinetic Bolt. Mental damage restores 2 spirit when you strike an enemy. It's a maximum of 6 enemies hit. That's got an attack speed of 2.3. This power changes when you enter Phoenix Force. I believe all of her powers change, if not all of them, most of them do. And I'll go back and show the Phoenix Force changes here in just a minute. So there's your Kinetic Bolt. It bounces back and forth, much like the Ricochet. We've got Telekinetic Throw. Mental damage. Projectile seeks out enemies. It has a rate of fire of 1.3 per second. And it has a spirit cost of 13.9. So just doing that, I was able to target... I didn't actually target anybody. I think it just targets the closest person. But I could also individually target people like that. Next we have Telekinetic Flight, which is not supposed to drain spirit, but it does. And I believe you will not gain Phoenix Force, which is this bar in the center, as you utilize it. Bar in the center, by the way, is you gain Phoenix Force when you hit with the power. Once you have full Phoenix Force, you may become the Dark Phoenix. Next is Psychokinetic Implosion. Mental damage, attack speed 1.3, pulls enemies towards the targeted location, 23.3 spirit cost. Boom, these guys obviously resist it. Next we have Crushing Telekinesis, which is the signature. Mental damage, it's the same thing as it was before. Mental damage for 5 hits, and vulnerability duration is 2 seconds, cooldown is 20 seconds, spirit cost is 37.2, and you get 1% damage increase per point in Omega level, which is her ultimate. Boom. And there's the extra stuff. Next we have Kinetic Wave, which I believe this is a new power. I could be wrong. I don't play Jean all that much. Mental damage gives you a weaken, it knocks back enemies and reflects projectiles. Spirit cost is 13.9, cooldown is 10 seconds. Bam. There's a change coming to Kinetic Wave. I forget what it is. It's some type of temporary buff, and I read it on the forums and I can't remember what it was. But that's going to be the change that'll be coming up soon. Next we have Telepathy. First we have Psychic Lethargy. It's mental damage twice per second. It's got a slow of vulnerability. The debuff duration is 10 seconds, and the spirit cost is 18.6. So there you go. Those guys have their debuff, and they're taking damage. Next we have Psychic Hammer. Mental damage. It's a projectile that pierces through all enemies on its path. It's got a 1.8 second attack speed, and it's got a 11.2 spirit cost. Let's come over here and just showcase how it does move through mobs. Next we have Telepathic Detection, which is one of your passives. You see enemies on the minimap. It gives you damage rating, crit hit rating, crit damage rating. It restores 6 plus 1% of your maximum spirit when you critically or brutally strike, and it gives you accuracy. You'll notice I have the accuracy buff here, and then of course it is your CC breaker. Next we have Mind Crush. It does mental damage. It gives 25% extra damage against vulnerable enemies. It stuns them, and you gain a force field that absorbs damage equal to 4% of your maximum health within 10 seconds. Within the next 10 seconds, excuse me. It's got a 10-second cooldown and a spirit cost of 13.9. So there you go, and there's your little shield. Next we have Neural Panic. It's a Confuse Irresistible. Confused enemies deal 2,500% more damage to other enemies. 18.6 spirit cost, 20-second cooldown. Boom, they're all now confused. Not that they're going to do any damage. Last, we have the Phoenix powers. We have Phoenix Charge, which does mental damage, and then mental damage at the start of the dash. Boom. You can see how that works there. Next, we have Phoenix Drain. It does mental damage twice per second. It has a 1% increased damage per 1% attack speed. It slows enemies for 90% movement speed, and its ongoing spirit cost is 18.6. So it's the same thing as Psychic Drain was before. Next, we have Phoenix Inferno. Mental damage twice per second, 10-second duration. You can maintain up to 2 areas at a time, 13.9 spirit cost. Boom. And since I'm already here, we've got Dark Phoenix, which it's a steroid for mental, and I believe it's the same thing for Phoenix. They changed it up. Originally, it was the change, and now you have new powers on your bar, but it's now just a steroid for both things. Telekinetic side, it does mental damage, restores 50% of your maximum spirit, gives you 15% spirit cost reduction, plus 6% to mental power damage to mental powers, and its buff duration is 15 seconds. I'm not going to activate this because it's not important, but it does come with 3 specializations. Omega level mutant gives you regeneration when you hit an enemy. You get power. Your Unleashed Phoenix gains 30-second cooldown, which is this power right here. While you're not in Phoenix form, Mind Crush has half its normal cooldown, and the bonus damage against vulnerable targets is doubled. Kinetic Wave has half of its normal cooldown and always is a critical strike. Psychokinetic Implosion deals damage over time effect, which does not stack with Phoenix Inferno. Telekinetic Throw deals an additional damage to weaken invulnerable targets. Psychic Hammer has increased brutal and crit damage, and then Phoenix Drain generates Phoenix Force faster. Next, we have Cosmic Avatar, which gives 7 spirit on hit. It gives you toughness. Unleash Phoenix gains 30-second cooldown. Psychokinetic Implosion deals half of its normal, it has half of its normal cooldown and will always deal a critical strike. Kinetic Wave, this all happens while you're in Phoenix form, by the way. Kinetic Wave applies a damage over time effect, which does not stack with Phoenix Inferno. Mind Crush causes enemies to take additional damage from Phoenix powers. Telekinetic Throw has a greater critical hit and brutal strike chance. Psychic Hammer generates Phoenix Force faster, and Phoenix Drain deals additional damage against enemies affected by Phoenix Inferno and Psychic Lethargy. And then we have Powerful Harmony, which is supposed to be both of them intertwined. You and your allies gain endurance. Your Phoenix Force gains increase by 20%. You have a 25% chance to deal mental damage when you deal energy damage, and a 25% chance to deal energy damage when you deal mental damage. When you activate Dark Phoenix while not in Phoenix form, you gain 500 damage rating for 2 minutes. And when you activate Dark Phoenix while in Phoenix form, you regenerate 175 health per second for 2 minutes, which is supposed to be the duration, or a nice big buff. Not necessarily during the duration of Dark Phoenix, but something to happen afterwards. And then, of course, we have the Unleashed Phoenix, which gives you damage negated. It gives you maximum health. You regenerate when you hit an enemy. You have a defense rating, projectile deflection chance, and attack and move speed. On death, you deal energy damage. You regenerate 100% of your maximum health and spirit. You have a 2.5 second invulnerability duration, and it's a cooldown of 5 minutes. While toggled on, you enter Phoenix form, converting all mental damage to energy damage, and altering the functions of your powers. And in addition, you get 5% damage negation. So, we will now engage the Phoenix Force and check out the new powers. So we have Kinetic Bolt. Energy damage per hit. Regenerate health when you hit an enemy. It fires 3 projectiles. So this is a different actual ability. 2 additional projectiles are fired when you activate Dark Phoenix. Next, you have Telekinetic Throw. It's energy damage equal to 5,000. You have energy damage. You have a Dark Phoenix bonus. You have... sorry about that. Hopefully that didn't just drop the thing. You have... The Dark Phoenix bonus is 10% critical and brutal strike chance and 50% projectile size. Projectile pierce enemies in its path, a rate of fire of 1.3 per second. Spirit cost 13.9. So there's a big old power right there that hits. It does not pierce. Oh, it does pierce. I just didn't do it properly. Next we have Telekinetic Flight, which is obvious. Next we have Psychokinetic Implosion, energy damage. Dark Phoenix bonus is 100% crit and brutal damage. Pulls enemies towards you, gain a force field, yada yada blah blah. This is how it works. Nice big old damage. Next we have Crushing Telekinesis, which is energy damage, does the same thing. There's that. You have Kinetic Wave, which is energy damage. Dark Phoenix bonuses restore 700 health. It doesn't weaken and all that lovely stuff. But it's an AoE instead of a directed cone. Next we have Psychic Lethargy, energy damage twice per second, slow vulnerability. Enemies take 20% extra damage from your energy powers for 10 seconds while you're in Dark Phoenix. So there's big damage there. Psychic Hammer, energy damage, projectile deals damage in an area. Dark Phoenix bonus fires at 2 additional projectiles which deal half normal damage. Boom! Next we have Telepathy Detection, which is the exact same power. Mind Crush, Dark Phoenix bonus does 50% extra damage. So there's that. Neural Panic, the Dark Phoenix bonus reduces the cooldown by 25%. Your Phoenix Charge does damage at the end of the dash. Boom, and it also has the Dark Phoenix bonus of an additional 50% extra damage on top of that. Your Phoenix Strain is energy damage, same thing it was before, but your healing effect is increased by 100% in Dark Phoenix form. Phoenix Inferno is energy damage. You can maintain 2 of these areas at one time. Big old Flame Blast. And then Dark Phoenix here, it looks like it gives you damage to energy powers, increases your healing from all sources, you are immune to crowd control, and it's energy twice per second, which we are going to activate. So now you see what the Dark Phoenix is like. It generates all that stuff. We can see the different things that happens as you use your different abilities. You do gain Phoenix Force as you use abilities in this form. Oops, did I just deactivate it? No, I think it deactivated on its own. That's right, it's a 15-second buff duration or until your Phoenix Force runs out. And then we turn this off. I'm going to see if I can generate enough Phoenix Force to activate this to show you guys this really quickly. Clearly, it does not want me to do this as quickly as I'd like to. Really should generate more power much quicker. There we go. Alright. So here's your Dark Phoenix form, but while you're in the mental form. Sorry, brain farted there. So, and it's still going to be the same thing. You're not doing a whole lot of damage, but you're trying to get as much stuff as possible done. And you can generate your Phoenix Force there, which I believe my Phoenix Force is off now. So that's how Jean Grey works now. Now, I think they're going to try to increase the Dark Phoenix Force generation for certain builds. I'm not entirely sure how they want to do all that stuff. But that's pretty much how she works in her new form. I'm actually kind of looking forward to playing her in this new form with the new buffs for the next patch. So currently my Jean is at 43. I'm sure I could bump her up to 60 fairly quickly with the new stuff. This is the new costume, by the way, that was released last week. It's pretty cool. I don't have any costumes on my Jean, I don't think. So, that's Jean Grey. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did showcasing it to you guys. Remember to like and comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Tumblr at RybackStun. More videos as they come along, and with that, this is RybackStun, signing out.